Canada is being accused of abandoning our traditional position when it comes to Israel. A change in votes, a change in tone, and an attempt to unilaterally recognize a Palestinian state. Hi, I'm Brian Lilley, political columnist for the Toronto Sun. Joining me now, fellow columnist Warren Kinsella. Warren, look, this is not the first time that someone has tried to push through a motion or something in the House of Commons to say, hey, let's have Canada unilaterally recognize a Palestinian state. No negotiation, no terms, while it's still being headed up by terrorists. It's not the first time that's happened, but this time looks like it's really going to pass in a way that it hasn't. Not even the one back in December. This is a committee studying this and demanding the government do it.
The past week or so in Canada has been a disaster, to emphasize the point you just made. Bob Rae, our ambassador at the United Nations, refused to say no to a General Assembly vote of dictators accusing Israel of acting illegally. Then the same language gets used in a House of Commons motion supported by the NDP and the separatists. And then you've got Canada this morning signing on to this statement calling for a ceasefire without even mentioning the word Hezbollah in the statement, after Hezbollah has fired 8,000 rockets at Israel. Like, in every single instance, the Trudeau government is giving us an indication of where it stands, and it does not stand with Jews or the Jewish state.
You and I have both been to that northern border between Israel and Lebanon. It's empty at this point along the border. I think within 5 kilometers of the border, they moved everyone out last October and have not let them move back in. Now, that's not due to Hamas. Hamas is, hours and hours further south. This is because there is an ongoing push by Hezbollah in Lebanon to bombard Israel. People have died because of this. Was a dozen children playing soccer in a field that were killed as a result of this. And Israel is now striking back strategically and surgically and being chastised by the rest of the world. Someone pointed out to me that Justin Trudeau wants Ukraine to win militarily against Russia. Why doesn't he want the same for Israel?
He's just acting. I mean, he's chosen. He's decided, and he's not on the side of Israel or the Jewish people. So shame on him. And I think he's going to pay a price, because Pierre Poilievre, to his great credit, has been very clear in the statements he's made and the votes that he's made in the House of Commons that he stands on the side of Israel. Because the thing that people have to remember is there was a ceasefire in place, and it was broken by Hamas on October 7th, 2023, when they went and killed 1,200 people, not all of them Israelis, some of them are foreign workers, and they kidnapped more than 200 people and raped an untold number of Israeli women and girls. Hezbollah firing rockets. Hezbollah, in its charter since its foundation for like 4 decades, has said we reject any ceasefire, any peace agreement with Israel. We are in a perpetual state of war with Israel. But, Israel, as you and I know, having been there, in the north and the south, throughout the country, Israel is held to this different standard. And it really, really is unfair. And, we see it in the news coverage, we see it online, we see it in our streets, and it needs to change. So hopefully when, not if, Poilievre comes in, it will.
You and I have both talked about this story at the Toronto District School Board. There was recently just a big meeting at the board to talk about it. The board has been saying since, we really got on the story, and, full credit to our colleague, Brian Pasfume, writing about this. He did the heavy lifting, talking to the parents, getting the quotes. Yes, Zionism killed stickers were handed out. Yes, students were participating and not just observing. Yes, teachers sent out an email saying settlers should wear blue. All of these things happened. The anti-Semitic chants, all of these things were questioned and dismissed. Well, that's not true. That's exaggeration. They've all turned out to be true. It's horrific. And you've actually spoken to a young student who experienced this. Tell me about that.
So there's a group, full disclosure, there's a group I lead through my firm, the Daisy Group, called Facts Matter. And basically we set that up about 6 months ago to fight anti-Semitism in Canada. As you know, that's something that has been a focus of mine for most of my life. And so we've been doing that. And we reached out, we'd heard from the premier, we heard from the minister, they said the right things. We heard from the TDSB, they said the wrong things. We hadn't heard from the kids. So we connected with one of these kids. We changed his voice so he couldn't be identified. And maybe we can play it for people and they can hear what he said.
Despicable. Facts Matter has now heard from one child who was there. We're not identifying the child and have altered their voice.
We were supposed to be on the side. We weren't supposed to really be inside of the actual rally. But then we kind of just got in there, and I didn't really feel safe.
How can this happen? This is Canada. This isn't Gaza. We don't indoctrinate children here, and we shouldn't. Ever. I'm Warren Kinsella for Facts Matter.
So what he says, I was scared. I was scared. He said what happened wasn't what was supposed to happen. So not only, Brian, did they lie to the parents in the note that they sent out to these kids at 15 different schools, they lied to the kids too. And for the Jewish kids who were there, they were terrified. They were afraid of what they were seeing and hearing, and they were being vilified for being colonizers and Zionists and so on. And that is a terrible event.
That's the thing about that chant that they were putting out there: from Turtle Island to Palestine, occupation is a crime. You can, hate Israel if you want, think it should be dismantled. They're also saying that you are an illegal criminal settler if you're not 100% indigenous here in Canada. Okay, so does everyone who's not 100%, able to pass a blood test, we all have to do ancestry DNA, figure out our roots, and then go back to that country? Because they're saying that occupation is a crime. That means we're all criminals here. That's what's being taught to kids. That is a sick and twisted philosophy. Not shocked based on some of the groups that were there. And by the way, the Palestinian youth movement, they glommed onto this thing. They were telling their followers and their supporters to go out to this same rally that all the students were at.
And you made a really important point there. And I say as I'm the dad to an indigenous girl, and that's part of the reason why I'm a Zionist. If you support indigenous people, if you support the indigenous peoples of this country, that means that they are entitled by law and by ethics and morality to their own space, their own real estate, their own place to call home. That's something we believe for indigenous people in Canada. That's what Zionism means. That's why I'm a Zionist. It means that the Jewish people are entitled to their own historical place that they've always occupied since long before the time of Christ. That's what it means to be a Zionist. It means to believe in indigenous peoples. And so, is there space there for Palestinians? I think so, but not while they're firing rockets at Israelis and murdering children. Like that kind of, puts them out of the debate. And I think that, Canadians need to say to their national government, you're on the wrong side. You've chosen wrongly, and we disapprove of what you've done. And I think that's what they're going to do at the next election.
Let's hope that's what they do at the next election, because there needs to be a cleaning out. What's the old saying? Politicians are like diapers. You got to change them now and again.
Yep.
I think we're at that point. Warren, thanks so much. Let us know what you think. Drop a comment down below. Share this on social media. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel.